Okay, so good evening, everybody. What we're going to talk today about is customer insights. I'm sharing my screen. If you don't see it, please give a shout out. And if you don't hear me, let me know as well. My laptop just got swapped like last week, so I'm still getting used to my new laptops.
We can hear and see your screen. All looks good.
Perfect. And if you hear a kid in the background, it's just my son who's ready to come into my office room. So I'm just holding the door here. So, yeah. So we already did the introduction, but this is how I look. I'm waiting to wear a tie again soon. But anyways, so this is the agenda. We'll talk about customer insights. I'll go through a little demo here to talk about some use cases, licensing, and what I'm going to share is really based on just personal exploration of the tool itself. We haven't had a chance to implement it yet, but we ran into some scenarios where we thought that this could be a useful platform that we may want to look into. Um, so why customer insights, right? We've got dashboards, we've got a lot of Power BI, we've got different analytics and everything. But the reason we need to look into AI or customer insights is because of the digital transformation. This is like the magic word that you would hear every single time in any of the place that you would go. Like gone are those days where digital transformation meant you scan a paper and upload it into SharePoint. That was digital transformation back in the days. But now everything is in apps, everything is platform based, everything is system. But the challenge is that these systems don't talk together. Real life scenario, I have a client here, they have 4 CRM systems. Don't ask why, but each 4 systems have same customer record. The only difference is their interaction that they're tracking, or maybe some little attributes here and there. And nobody has visibility on what each of them are doing. And that's where all of this information comes into play, or all this AI platform comes into play, where we want to give a full 360-degree overview to our users about a customer so that you can make more intelligent decisions. And customer insights is one of the offerings from Microsoft as part of their artificial intelligence platform or line, if you will. And the another reason that you want to look into customer insights is if you don't have access to a data scientist or a pro developer in your organization, customer insights could be a tool that you may want to look into because it's more easy to configure. There's not a lot of coding that's involved. But really the need, the business case or the use case of requiring this whole AI feature or is because of the siloed data systems that we have. And the need is to come up with a common or customer data platform so that you can give your users in the system or anybody or individual in your organization a good overview of what's happening. Like in a very simple standard organization where your marketing is using its own tool, salespeople are doing their own thing, and then customer service are doing their own thing. But if they're not sharing their data, then it doesn't help anybody or anybody in any way. So for example, if everybody is sharing their data, sharing the information from customer service perspective, you would know what kind of campaigns that the company is running, and you can expect what products are going to be released or sold so that you can expect what cases are coming in. Similarly, from sales perspective, it's the other way around. So really from the way I look at it, artificial intelligence or customer insight is the perspective that you get from wherever you stand. So if you're standing on the left side of the spectrum, you get that perspective. However, if you're on the right side, you get a different perspective. And it's just because you have a common customer data platform. These are some of the offerings that Microsoft is offering, but these are the offerings. And I believe most of us are from the CRM CE backgrounds, so sales insight, customer insights, customer service insights, and product insights are something that may be useful for you, plus also the virtual agent. But really, what these are is really they run in the same premise of artificial intelligence, giving you a 360-degree overview so that you can make more intelligent, informed decision based on the data that's been collected. Little information about the customer insight architecture. So because it's all cloud, Azure is something that's running. Azure is the backbone of customer insights. And then there is this whole processing layer, which we'll see here in a demo. But something to note about customer insights, what I've seen is these three magic words: map, match, and merge. What it really means is that once you bring in your data from different sources, you have to map them so that you create some map them to form into a logical formation, assign some primary keys, then match to prepare some duplicate detection rules, or maybe some rules so that you can match these records. So for example, you're bringing in customer data from 5 sources. How do they match together? Do you match on first name? Do you match on last name? Or do you match on combination? And then how do you merge some of this information together? From there is your API layer, which is really ready for consuming for consumption to different sources. One of the benefits of this whole architecture is that once you have your data ready in customer insight, merged, massaged, and enriched, it can be fed into either your CE instance, or maybe you can leverage Power BI to create more meaningful dashboards. And we'll talk about why not Power BI or why customer insights and things like that. But this is a platform that I think will pick up eventually, and maybe something of interest for future. Okay. So to summarize, right? So the approach for customer insights is that there are multiple connectors that are available. There are about 200 connectors. I think they are same as Power BI connectors that are available. And what happens is that once you connect to these sources to bring in your data, there's something called unification process. You ingest your data, you do your map and match, you enrich. There's some Microsoft algorithms proprietary that Microsoft applies on that. You combine everything together, and at that time your data is ready to build some analytics, some more meaningful information, so that you get more idea of what your data is all about, right? And then finally, you can perform some actions. So you can feed them into Power Apps, Power BI, or maybe other situations. I did talk about CE or CRM. It's a logical transition to feed your data or embed this information in CE. But from you can also use this information in a scenario where, for example, these days we are doing a lot of curbside pickup, or maybe you are at a electronic store and you pull up your member profile. You can tell what product the customer is interested in, what was the last experience, is there a possibility that the person would switch over to a different platform, things like that, so that you can make some intelligent decision based on that information, and then do your upsell or cross sell if you have to. So just a food for thought over there. But I'll move into the demo. Didn't want it to spend a lot of time in slides, but any questions so far or anything you may want me to repeat? I don't see my full screen here, so. No questions. So let me refresh my instance here. So what I'll do is I'll just walk you through some of the scenarios or some of the scenarios on how to develop or how to build your customer insights. Analytics. So once you set up your instance, what Microsoft does is that it gives you two environments. One is a demo environment, and one for your own instance, for that matter. So, or for your own tenant. So let me switch demo. So what it does is the first page, the home, gives you some information based on your data. So insights are really your, if you have to think about your KPIs for that matter, this is your KPI that you can build by yourself. Segments are really, I think segments more like marketing lists, where you can create your own filters and generate a list of records, and you can find out what it is based on whatever criteria we feed into. Enrichment is something that Microsoft algorithms are working. So this is the part of the enrichment process. Originally, I think Microsoft had, when everything was in preview, they just had brands over here, but then they also added interest. But similarly, you can add more information for your insights and segments. And then why, and I think one of the reasons you may want to use insights, or the perfect users for insights are folks who may not log into CRM on a day-to-day basis. For example, if you're a C-level executive who doesn't want to get into CRM, go through these screens and go through all the dashboards for that matter, they can come here, look at the insights, what's happening. For example, if your system is connected to CE instance, ERP for that matter, any other marketing platform, you can fetch all of that data over here so that you can give a snapshot to those kinds of users. But what I'll do here is I'll switch over to my environment and start adding some information here. So as you can see right now, there's really nothing. So what happens is that this is the first area that you may want to go into. So the data tab allows you to feed your data, build some queries and things like that. And once everything is all said and done, we can come here into customer tab and get some more information. Admin tab allows you to set some permissions, plus also schedules based on how many times you want to refresh your data. So right now I've got one uh, user, but you can also set a user role for a contributor or for admin or things like that, or maybe read only, almost like a higher level portal privilege if you. And then export destination allows you to feed that data into various platforms. And system is where schedule areas where you can add your schedule. I think at this time you can only refresh your data 4 times a day. But something that you'll also notice over here is that as soon as I click on schedule, it's telling me that I have to bring in data sources. And this is something you'll see constantly across the system, that it will tell you about the dependencies of this step or the previous step that you're missing out on. So for example, if I go to customers, it will tell me that go to data sources, then do map, match, merge, and then fix your search and filter indexes. So let me go here and feed in some data. And I know Kylie put out a post a couple of weeks, not a couple of weeks, but a couple of days ago, or maybe it was last week, Kylie. Maybe if you want to share that over here about the data import.
It's going on right now, so everyone should read
it. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to import list of customers and also customers loyalty information. So it could be an online store or maybe any other store where we're trying to track some loyalty. So once I give the name here and once page loads, it takes a little while to refresh over here for now. But once it is all set, it works pretty well. There are various connectors over here. There are various categories of connectors, if you will. But for our purposes, I'll pick the easy one, that's the text file, so that we don't stay here for a longer time. And I'll put some test data and hit next. And if you're familiar with Power BI queries and other things, you'll see a very similar UI over here, or maybe CDS, right? So this is my test data. I'll go ahead and click on transform data over here. First thing that I'll do is change the name of the query, right? Because we want it to be more meaningful. And because my spreadsheet has the CS header, I will go and select this option. Now, what you can also do is that or maybe something to note is that as soon as I did select that my spreadsheet has the header, it added a step. Similarly, if I go and start adding what type of columns they are, it will start adding these steps. So let me do this and let me just do text. So based on your spreadsheet or CSV file, you have to go through each of these steps and assign correct data type. Plus also you have the capability of assigning any conditional logic if you have to for that matter. So if you are on the fly creating any extra columns or any adding any extra logic to these columns, you have the capacity or capability here. I'll click next and it will go through a validation process. Okay, let it load. Perfect. So while this is refreshing, I'll go ahead and add one more data source. Let me pick up the name here so that I don't forget. And I won't keep everybody waiting while everything loads. I have set up a similar instance before the demo here so that I can switch over and show you how things will look like once everything is ingested and processed. But just wanted to walk everybody through the import process here and how the whole uh, match map and merge process works. Okay, I'll perform the same steps. Okay. Let me just do one field here so that we have something. I'll hit next. Okay. One good thing about Customer Insight is that it's pretty intelligent enough to pick up some of the mappings by itself, and also it will scan the sources of data that you have uploaded or your data, and it will try to match some of the fields. And we'll see here in a bit once this completes refreshing. But what will happen is that it starts creating these entities behind the scenes for us. And the next tab where we'll see a lot of action is this unify tab. So still waiting for my data sources to upload. Okay, let's give it a second here. So while this thing loads, anybody has used Customer Insights for a real implementation or have any experience with it?
I was going to say you're very brave by doing this live. When every time we do it with customers, we have to come up with things to talk to them because this could take like literally anything between a few seconds and then a few minutes.
Look at that. While you were saying it just failed and
Oh,
oops.
sorry, I jinxed it. I'm never going to. No.
Anyway, so let me do this. Let me bring my trial. So I tried this 3 times before the demo, so not sure what happened. So let's do this. Let's go to this data, and then I did the same sources.
I think the worst is measures because they take ages, and that really needs you need to come up with so many jokes to tell customers while the measure screen is spinning.
Right. Yeah. 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 I think that's
How
the
many
pro.
jokes you can tell in a corona period? It just becomes inappropriate. So I think it's the wrong time to demo customer insights.
Absolutely. I think that's the pro tip. You don't want to demo it while or set up in front of everybody. So anyway, so this was my online customer list. So once you go into the Unify tab and come to the map tab over here under Unify, so what you have to do is you have to identify what are the primary keys of your data sources. So for my online customer, contact ID was my primary key. For my other spreadsheet, contact ID was again the primary key. Once I've set the primary keys for my data sources, I'll go to the match tab. And over here, what I'm saying is that, let me see if I can pull it up. I'm just picking up the queries or the data set that I want to match on. So I'm just saying that I want to query all the online customers that I have as part of my data source. And then also just match the other spreadsheet with this all customer source, meaning that match all the customers that have the loyalty number with the all customer list that I have. And then merge is the step where it's smart enough to scan your data and tell you what are the fields that match. So over here, you see first name, it picked two fields from both the sources, and similarly for last name and other fields. The fields it didn't found a merge fields or similar fields, it shows up like these. However, you have the capability to merge them or combine them. So the way to do that is combine field, and this is taking a very bad example here, assuming say street address field that I have over here matches the country field, for example, right? So I'll pick street address, it selects over here, and then country right here. And once you give a name to it and display name and hit done, it will be combined and it will use that combination for future matches as well. But that's something you can do if you have similar fields. Once all of that is done, what you'll have to do is hit run over here. And what it does behind the scenes is that processing layer. It will look at every single data that you imported and look at the match criteria, look at these merge fields, and brings back this set of results for you. And it creates this customer card. And what it does at this point is that once you click on each of the record, you can see different kinds of insights over here. And I'll show you more enhanced information. But one thing before going to that is something you may want to do is set up your indexes. So right now these are the indexes it has set up, but you can add more if you want to or take out as you wish. So let me switch over here. So once your data is set up, wow, this is like the perfect example of demo going wrong here. So let me see.
Oh, I can tell you a funny story. The other day, a customer named their demo environment demo. And then do you know how difficult it is to know which one is the demo one and which one is the one they call demo?
Yeah, I can feel that for sure. Here we go. So based on your data sources, right, it will start building up this information or dashboard, if you will. And what it is telling me is that for this particular contact, what are the different kinds of website reviews happen? What are the different email activities that happen? What online purchases or how many online purchases, POS purchases and cases. And similarly, it will give more details over here. And it will also tell you how much they spent. Based on the data sources that you have imported, it will also give you this profile card or profile section that contains all the information about that particular customer. So now if I'm somebody who wants to just take a peek of what's happening for this particular customer, I can come here and just understand what's happening and how to proceed further. The next is this segment over here, and what it does is that these are really your marketing list or criteria that you can build within customer insights. So for example, this one, it is telling me, give me all the customers with open cases. So it will give me all the list over here. The way it looks, or let me put this into the edit mode. So it's almost like a flow type looking UI over here where you can select your entity, your field, and then what your criteria, and you can build your queries pretty big over here. The other thing is the measures. It almost is similar to the segments where you can build your queries and put it on your dashboards. The one thing that we haven't played around, or at least I haven't played around, is this intelligence area. This is where you can bring in your machine learning models and bring into customer insights so that you can see what's happening. Plus, also you can train your model accordingly as per your data. But going back to my customer, based on your searching, you can search your customer right from here. So the response time is pretty quick. There's no delays in terms of accessing your data and whatnot. But this is really not how the whole customer insight piece works. But one thing that really came into my attention was, why would you want to do customer insights, right? When Microsoft came up with the customer insight, I was pretty skeptical in terms of why exactly we need it, because we have our Power BI. But I think the place that customer insight really differentiates is the whole segmentation that we just saw. You can actually build your own queries or filters that get refreshed pretty quickly. Plus, also you have the ability to extend customer insights to the Azure machine learning. Plus, also, I think it's more intelligent than Power BI, and this is what I'm thinking at this point in terms of based on the data we feed it and the algorithm that Microsoft is applying on it, it gives us more visibility, or at least gives us more information on how to make the right decision while doing a business process. But these are the licensing. This is the current licensing structure, unless it has changed. But this is the current licensing structure. It's little on the higher side if you think so. May want to look at what organization you are part of, or what type of organization you are, or if you're from the implementation side, may want to think about the size of the client you're working with. Uh, in terms of the standard licenses, it holds a profile capacity for 100,000. You can do 20 segments and you get 4 refreshes every single day, or 4 data injection for that matter throughout the day. So that's something you can set. And finally, this is a link where you can get a lot of information of customer insights. And also, as I mentioned, Kylie had a blog, and this is something that's picking up. So you'll see a lot of communication attraction from community as well, plus also more information from Microsoft. But that's where I really would pause and open it up for any experiences team would have had with customer insights, or anything you may have seen different, or something to be cautious about, or any questions from me.
I think there was one question in the chat. Mike was asking about licensing, which I think we talked about, but the other one was, is this available for the government cloud?
That's something I'll have to check. I'm not certain, 100% certain about it. Although I focus on our public sector, state and local government, and we did look into some of these features, but we were not very certain. So I can check and get back to everybody here.
That's always the hard question.
Yeah.
I just throw that out there.
Yeah.
In case anybody knows. Maybe somebody on the call knows.
Yeah. Okay. Has anybody used customer insights?
I've only used it the past few weeks, and I'll say to everyone, I did not ask, or I did not pay to be promoted in this session. but I don't mind. So I've only played with it the last few weeks, and I think it was cool because you could get, insights really quickly and be using data from multiple sources without it all needing to be in CDS. I think the stuff I struggled with was making sure, my data types matched. I had an option set in CDS, and then I imported something that was text, and so they were not liking each other. So
Yeah.
I think it was things like that I would still need to figure out, and a lot of that is probably was more needed more planning on the front end. We can't just decide to just turn it on and hope everything works, but you do still need to plan your data model and make some conscious decisions there, I think.
I guess I have a
I think I
question.
agree. I
Is
think the premise.
sorry.
Go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead. No, is it built on top of Power BI? Like, is it built on top of Power BI framework? Like, are these reports coming out of Power BI and it's just something that Microsoft built, based on the CDS model, or is it?
So part of me, I'm not sure, right? So part of me tells me that it has some relation behind the scenes with Power BI, and this is just my guess, but I think it's more CDS that's controlling everything. And I'm not sure if in future we are looking to combine everything. Like that's
I'm
like
always
my
wondering
half-baked.
when Microsoft comes out with something new, it's like, oh well, this is we can do again the no cliffs. What they always tout as the no cliffs, and if this is Power BI on top of CDS that they built, then if we can extend it to like specific things that we want to do, that'd be awesome. But if it's a is there any extension of this of customer insights, or is it just you get what you get and that's there's no APIs, there's no extensions of
Right. Yeah, I think in terms of extensions, I think the most it goes, at least from customer insight perspective, is the various sources that you can connect to at this point. Like one of the examples that, or at least one of the scenarios we are trying to use customer insight, or at least thinking about, is for a customer, they get a lot of information from the ERP system, plus also their website, plus also they have certain licensing systems and 4 or 5 other systems. And based on the data that they collect, they want to tag that customer, or at least identify that customer as, hey, this is a vendor, this is a stakeholder, or this is an agency that we work with. So in that scenario, what we're thinking is that we'll bring in all the appropriate data that is required, build some logic around it, and then maybe display as a graph or a chart to see how many agencies we have. Or this, when I open the customer card, I'll see a tag which says this is a vendor, something on those lines.
There's some connectors there, but there's not
Right.
an extension model of the platform so much.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
From what we have seen, there are loads of connectors, so you can connect. That's the power, is that you can connect it to everything. The problem we have had with it was that it's always based around the customer. So if you have a lot of transactional data, you can't change your customer cards to be product cards. So you can't, for example, say,
Yeah.
that product was bought in those cities, because it's always customer focused. That's the biggest limitation we have seen. But from connectors point of view, I think it's very much okay, because it's got APIs, so you can connect it to pretty much anything which is not on premise.
Yeah, I think that.
Is it Azure AI that's behind the scenes, or is it Power BI?
I don't think it's Power BI, because it really doesn't have to manage graphs, to be honest. All it does, it's a customer card with different fields, but the power is that the fields come from different places, but it doesn't give you too many pretty pictures. It's got a connector to Power BI, but customer insights on its own doesn't give you pretty pictures.
So Power BI like consumes data from this
Yes, and
service.
I
And
don't think it's CDS
Azure
either.
AI is probably the engine behind it.
Yeah,
Yep.
because it's not CDS. You
Okay.
can link it to CDS, so it can talk to marketing or sales or whatnot. But I don't. The data is not stored in CDS because it has to take all of those updates from your data all the time from different places.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That's really what I was wondering. Just what how you extend it, and if there's the ability to extend it.
Yeah, and I think that's where the distinction is coming from Microsoft, right? So they have got customer insights, but then they have product insight product as well. So I think it's more around what you're trying to do. And obviously it comes with limitations as well. So that's what we'll run into at this point till the time the boundaries are blurred and we can extend or go all over.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Because if there's no other question, I'll pass it back to Kylie.
Sure.
So,
Let me share the deck again. Oops, that was the wrong one. Oh no, that's the right one. Cool. Well, thank you everyone. Thank you for all these great presentations. So all we have left is kind of our roundtable networking and those kind of discussions. I might skip ahead to quickly talk about our next meeting, just to make sure everybody gets registered and all aware, because I know we have at least one person who's still on who it might be 3 or 4 a.m. at this point. So our next meeting is already scheduled for August 19th, and you can already find this on our crmug.com/Washington. And this is a full day event that all of the chapters here in DC, Reston, Virginia, and Richmond, Virginia kind of plan together. And this has been in person the last 3 years, I believe. This is going to be our 4th year, but we're going to be fully virtual, and it's going to be a full day meeting with, I hope, 5 presenters and lots of fun stuff. So make sure you get registered for that. Also, a quick reminder to fill out your survey. You can scan that code, or you should get an email if you are registered to do survey and tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, what else you'd like to see, and hopefully we can use that to improve. And if you're interested in speaking at our August meeting or one of our future meetings, feel free to let me know as we're still finalizing details. But yeah, the last thing we're talking about, I guess I could have stopped the recording. Doesn't matter. The last thing we're talking about is just our roundtable discussion. So does anybody have anything that they want to talk about in this time?